Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 6-year 177th day first video. I'm back. I'm doing a state of the school. 2018 I call it, although one viewer pointed out that, hey, it's 2019 now. Yeah, that's true. But in any case, I sort of cheated in a way. I'm hoping the camera is right to be able to see this, because on the 176th day I had something like 8, maybe 9 videos that to get them all in there, because I'm trying to get everything done before day 180, which is kind of a stopping spot for me. Anyway, I'm back in the relative comfort of my basement. It's nice and warm. And it's good timing because the weather turned much colder. With snow, it's not nearly as pleasant. It's not muddy. Well, in any case, what I did was it's been a while since I've put this up here, but in the past in Frank's School, you may get glimpses of my cat here. I've put this up to show. Here's where I actually live. I'm teaching from the basement of a house right there. The address is 151 Camp Ranch Lane. If you would like to go to Google Earth, Camp Ranch Lane, Bedford. You don't even need that. All you need is 15522. If you wanted to go to Google Earth or something maybe like that, you could see a more recent image of it. But in any case, I wanted to show you where I was. I started over here looking in this direction. That was in the first video. And then I started down. This is a mine face, actually. It was heavily mined for iron. I started down here, filmed again, got down in here. Now there's a fence that goes along here that doesn't show. This image was taken about, I almost could say 10 years ago. I don't know if it was 10 years ago or not, but almost maybe. So much of what you saw is not in the image, and some of this stuff is no longer there. Anyway, I moved along here, walked up the lane, filmed a little bit. Whoops, I'm down here. I should be down here. Walked up the lane, filmed a little bit in here. This is where. Oh, I haven't had a cat fight down here for. Entertainment. This is where there's going to be 5 folk huts gathered around a very high water wheel and a windmill right there. Then I walked up the lane. I'm down here, and I headed into this building. This I call, the basement of it I call Shirley's Keller, and the upstairs of it I call Thomas Hockling Hall. I went in there, filmed some, went through to the other side. And I filmed out the door on this and showed this would be the southern village. This I think of as the western village. I headed back in a little bit, and then I went up around. I went inside the upstairs of Thomas Hockling Hall and looked over this direction some. Then I hope I'm getting this right. I kind of skipped to here, where the water arrives from the woods. Back up here, I call it Michael Weir. That's where the water is diverted, and it comes along here. And one wooden aqueduct, takes the water this way, the other takes it this way along the barn. Now there's all kinds of buildings in here now that aren't there. Well, after that, I headed up the hill. I went up to here, but this stuff is not there anymore. I've used it. This was gathered up timbers and things which I've used. And I looked around, and then I headed into the woods. Now, here is the aqueduct that I believe I mentioned. I filmed it, I think, from the woods side looking back. It's a place that I bring water along a saddle. This is a higher spot, and that's a higher spot than right here. There's a saddle. And that water is brought, let me get back here. That water is brought along here. And then, no, that's not right. Well, it's sort of right. Yeah, it's brought along there. Goes across the aqueduct, and this there's a perfect contour line the whole way around the hilltop, which I've had the whole thing with water laying in it supplied from up here. Now there's I call it a goat fold within the woods right here, and I filmed it. And it could be a campground. I mentioned that there's a pipe that I bring from my sister and brother-in-law's property, who incidentally own this field, and then they would already own it by here, and they own a lot of mountain ground up there. Anyway, I can pipe water down, drinkable water from a spring to an area right in here. Then I walked along the Biss, B-I-S-S-E. Elsewhere in the course I talked so much about Bisses. A Biss is a water supply that comes almost on a perfect contour along a slope to deliver water, and so that's one of many Bisses that I have here. And I walked back along it to where the weir is, or the Prise d'Eau, where I trap the water from the natural drain. The natural drain goes down through here, and turn it out. Now I don't usually worry much about maintaining that until, in my mind, I use Palm Sunday as a mark to do that. I didn't look down over this side. This also was very heavily mined at one point, and well, yeah, I just didn't show everything. I only came up here and I didn't look down this side. I should mention that this is a cherry tree house, it's called. It's a house that's 40 by 40, 3 stories high. I moved it from 70 miles away. It's the house that my mother was born in and her great-grandfather built. They were going to tear it down. It's not really part of the Camp Ranch campus. I regard that as separate. It's kind of in the domain of my daughter and her husband. As I say, here's where I live. That's kind of out of the domain of the former village. All right, after I got back there, I visited a lone hut that's way up there, just a single folk hut that's right at the edge of the property. And then I walked down what I've learned has been called the tram road. I might turn that camera a little bit. It might be a little late to do that now, but just on the chance that you can see it better. The tram road, I came down there and then went over to show where my neighbor and his friend have been milling lumber with a chainsaw mill right in this area. And I stopped short of going down here to the weir where I divert water to come over to this complex right here. So that, okay, and then I returned and I went inside this building, which I think of it as the Hockling Gasthaus. These names are in honor of my German friends, the Hocklings, Thomas and Shirley. I went in the upstairs of the Hockling house, and then finally ended up on the roof right about there, looking at this area in here. There's one or two things I forgot to mention. One that comes to mind mainly is I probably should have turned the camera in such a way that you could have seen where I divert that water to bring it to go over this high water wheel. Now there it would strike the wheel very low with only a fall of about maybe 3 feet. The water that would go over the top of the wheel as a pitchback wheel would come from here, and it will determine the height of that wheel. Well, anyway, oh, and I didn't mention the pond. Yeah, I just didn't go down in there and I didn't mention it. This area has become so wild, and I did refer to that, but I said that's okay. So that's where. There's other things I should probably say, but at least that can give you a context. And remember, if you would like to look better, if you can go to Google Earth, if you have a way to look at such images, and you put that address in, you would see an image that's only about 3 years old. Now, there's much more visible there, and much better, and the stuff that is not. But if it were current, there would be again as much to see there. All right, bye for now.